you, Lord. You were there when I need you most. I know you, Lord. You're everything to me.
Good morning, and welcome to the special extended version of Sound Travels. I am Pastor Dan Walker. I am privileged to pastor the New Bethel Baptist Church of Framingham, Mass. And here we are on the internet live. So, what do? Well, let's talk about, in our first hour we talked about the rise and fall of William H. Cosby Jr. In the second hour, we're going to get back to our political mode and talk about the upcoming election and talk about what's going on in the current climate right now. You see, this is very interesting. I told you last week, I told you not to doubt me. I told you that there would be another accuser before this hearing, so-called hearing, happened. I told you that this is all part of a plan, and I asked you to look to see. Let's see what we got here. I asked you to look to see the big picture in everything that's happening. You have to understand what forces are being mounted and what's really at play here. And some of you looked at me and you might have heard me and said, oh, he doesn't know what he's talking about. And sure enough, yesterday, I think it was on Monday or Tuesday, I think it was actually on Sunday, another accuser supposedly has come forward. And now the original accuser supposedly has 4 people that are willing to testify that she told them that this had all happened, and by name. And we still don't have any outside corroborating evidence. We still don't have anybody that was in the room that wasn't either him or her. It's still he said, she said. Yes, you can have 16 people. If I tell 16 people that I did something and they can come back and say, well, he said that I did it, or he said that this happened, that is a form of evidence. But unless they have firsthand evidence, it's still he said, she said. And this is what's going on right now. You see, a great man is being destroyed. Maybe destroyed. This is the second hour. I am Pastor Dan Walker. This is the second hour of Sound Travels, WBPG LP, and broadcasting now on the internet. Hello, internet. How are you doing? It's good to see everybody. We're working on our second hour, so feel free to call in 282-0685, 282-7794 and 282-625-2679. Hopefully we'll have a call from Mother Ann Parrish in a few minutes. In the meantime, let's get back to this Kavanaugh thing. You see, what's going on here is insidious. This was done deliberately. Senator Dianne Feinstein, should be ashamed of herself. She was given this information 4 months ago. At that time, there was no less than 65 private conversations with Justice Kavanaugh, not to mention a full Senate hearing at which this information could have been brought forth and asked him under oath what had happened. But that's not the plan. See, that's what you do if you want to get to the truth. That's not what you do if you want to smear somebody. That's not what you do if you want to create doubt. You string it out as long as possible. See, the theory was if she just said this, then clearly other people who may have been hindered or hurt by this man would come forward. And she wouldn't have to prove her point. She wouldn't have to testify. She got the ball rolling, so to speak. This is a very old tactic, and it works sometimes. When it works is when the person's guilty. When it works is when there's something to hide. When it works when there's something that needs to be covered up. But if there's nothing that needs to be covered up, if there's nothing that is to be hidden, then it don't work. Because no matter how long it takes, there's nothing that happened. There's nothing to come out. You know, this whole thing got started when Donald Trump became president. There was a movement afoot even then to stop his presidency, and after he was elected president, there's been a movement to negate his president and to ultimately have him thrown out of office. And what did he do? What's his crime? Well, they said collusion, Russian collusion. He and Vladimir Putin had a secret meeting and got together and devised a way to steal the election, thereby making him president and Putin's puppet. That's what was said. That's all you heard. Collusion. Secret meetings. And they had to put together a special panel, a special council to investigate this. So what did they use to investigate it? How did they get approval for do this? Well, I know. Let's have a dossier created. And what's a dossier? That's a list of things that were supposed to have happened. A whole report on the secret life of Donald Trump, how he had a meeting and what happened at the meeting. And while you're at it, why don't you throw in some salacious stuff? He was seen in the presence of hookers, and he paid hookers to do something on the bed that he was supposed to be sleeping in. The dossier was supposed to be the smoking gun. The dossier was supposed to prove that Donald Trump stole the election. That he is not the legitimate heir, that Donald Trump is in fact in league, in bed with the Russians. The dossier was to be the thing that brought down, that righted a wrong, because that man has no business being in office. The dossier was supposed to do all of that. There's only one small problem with that. There's only one fly in the ointment. There's only one thing wrong with this whole concept of the dossier being the end-all and be-all. And that is, the dossier was a lie. It was contrived. It was paid for by the Hillary Clinton campaign. It was nothing but a bunch of lies. Anybody that knows Donald Trump, whether you like him or don't like him, knows he's a germaphobe. He won't even be in a crowded room if he doesn't think the ventilation is right. So you're going to get some women to do some things on a bed that he's going to sleep in? Really? But what about this dossier? You can't just go to the government and say, I have this one piece of evidence, but here's how you negate that. You leak the dossier to a couple of different news sources. And then the news sources report that they have the evidence that this actually happened. And now it's not just one person, it's 4 or 5 other people saying, we have the evidence, we have the evidence. There's got to be something here. And because there's got to be something here, let's have an investigation. Because we have to have an investigation, let's impanel a committee and let's give it powers to do and look at and search every aspect of this man's life, because after all, he's dirty. And we know he's dirty, and he's done stuff, and we know he's done stuff, and we've got to prove it. And it all comes back to one dossier. When you pull all the threads, they all unwind. They all lead back to the Hillary Clinton campaign, who paid for the dossier. But dirty tricks aren't new. We know they're not new. None of this should surprise anybody. Bernie Sanders had a good chance of beating Donald Trump in an open and fair election. But Bernie Sanders never got the chance. Why not? Because the Clinton campaign took out Bernie Sanders. They saw him as a threat to Hillary's rightful place, and they took him out. And who can be blamed for that? Who can be who is the one that is responsible right now for Donald Trump being in office? Who is the one that played the biggest role in that? It would have to be the Clinton campaign. Because if you know you can't win, why don't you let the person who can win take over? That's the problem with Boston politics today. If you want to get somebody out, rather than a bunch of people coming together, you have 17 people competing for one office, and they divide the vote so much that the opposition gets back in. If those 17 people would come together under one candidate, throw their support behind one candidate, he'd have a shot. But that never happens. It hasn't happened yet in the Boston political world. Somebody's running for office, 17 people run for the same office. They haven't got no chance whatsoever of obtaining that office. But they thin the herd, they water the pool so much that the incumbent stays in the cakewalk because there's no effective challenge against him. So Hillary Clinton took out Bernie Sanders. Would I have voted for a card-carrying communist? That's a good question. Would you have? If it was the choice between Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders, which way would you have gone? We never know, will we? Because we didn't get the choice. Why didn't we get the choice? Because it was taken away from us. Why was it taken away from us? Because Hillary Clinton knew she was the appointed one. She had worked her entire career to get into the position where she was, and there was nobody that was going to. She was not going to let happen to her what happened to her back in 84? Let's see. Barack Obama was president for 8 years, 216. So go back to 208. Yeah, it was in 208. So that would be 208 when Hillary Clinton was supposed to be the one. It was hers then. But here came this upstart senator from Illinois, who, near as we can tell, didn't really do much in the Senate. He voted president a bunch of times, but he gave a very eloquent speech. And the whole Democratic Party rallied around him and told Hillary, not you. This ain't your night. We're going for the money on Obama. And Hillary felt cheated. She felt thrown aside. She felt cast off. She felt like she had earned the position to be there, and it was taken from her at the last minute. Do the Clintons like the Obamas? No. By all indications, that is a marriage not made in heaven. They do not like each other. Hang on, I'm trying to get something typed in here. Supposed to have a phone call, and I'm trying to text the information to the person who probably can't find it. That's why they haven't called. There we go. So we have Donald Trump as president, a man who from day one thumbed his nose at the whole political process, at the whole political parties, a man that from day one has been out to serve and service and placate and satisfy one person and one person only, himself. And now at this stage of his life is probably doing the only altruistic thing that he's ever done in his entire life. And nobody gives him credit for it. We have a caller. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Pastor Dan. How are you?
I'm well. Let me set you up. Let me do your intro. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and now children of all ages and all over the internet, I'm pleased to introduce to some and present to others Mother Ann Parrish with Mom's Corner.
Well, good morning, everyone. How are you? And Pastor Dan, how are you this morning?
I'm a little hurt. I talked
You're
about
a little hurt?
I talked about it in the first hour. I'm a little hurt. I'm a little disappointed.
Why are you a little hurt?
Well, because one of my icons has fallen. A person I looked up to has been proven just to be a mere man. And I'm hurt. And I'm hurt. I didn't say I'm not going to wallow in it. I'm not going to revel in it. It is just what happened, but I'm hurt. I get over it.
Yes, you will.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yes, I do. And the answer to that is, even though we present ourselves as one way, time will find you out.
Boy, I'm afraid of that one.
Yes.
And we all should be.
Yes. That closet door will swing open at the least opportune moment and expose all your dirty laundry. Now, I'm not saying that things were done right and all of that, but if there's smoke, there's got to be a fire.
Somewhere.
Yes, somewhere.
Absolutely.
It may not be burning bright at that moment, but it will eventually burn bright if you keep adding wood to it.
Oh, yeah.
And whether anybody sees you adding it or not, as long as you add it, they will become a flame.
Absolutely. And as I said earlier, you missed my comment where I said if there wasn't anything to this, it would have just gone away.
Right.
But the mere
Right.
yeah, but there was
So there's fire. Yes. And so we have to remember your first statement. A man, and that counts for women or men, are first a man or first a woman.
Yeah.
With like passion.
Exactly.
Yeah. Not saying that the passions always like the right way, but their passion.
Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And that's so we'll get over it. And you missed my comment that somebody now needs to find where he is, get to him, and preach to him Jesus. Please, somebody reach out to William H. Cosby Jr.
Yeah. Because Jesus saves.
Oh, yeah.
From the guttermost to the utmost.
Absolutely.
Jesus saves.
And the other part.
And so we have to remember who is in control and who has control and always will be in control.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And then the other part of this is you have to always remember that there but for the grace of God.
Go I.
Go I. And any one of us at any point in time could have our closet kicked open. And
none of us would want that.
Absolutely not.
Not while we're breathing.
No. After I'm gone, say whatever you want to say. Prove whatever you want to prove because I'm not there.
Yeah.
But right now, no.
Right.
And it's the trick. It is all part of the enemy's plan.
Right.
So none of us.
He sets you up for failure.
Yeah.
And we in our fallen state say, come on, I got this. Come on, Cletus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got this.
It ain't Cletus who comes over.
No, it never is. No. It's exactly the one you don't want.
Right.
You know, who you think is coming through that door is not who is actually coming through that door.
Right. Yeah.
The one coming for you is not your husband.
Right.
It's not your wife.
So But God, I love the way God orchestrates life, the way God takes our pitiful lives, our messed up lives, and turns them around into an orchestrated well melody if we allow Him. If you, same analogy, if you get into the band but you never practice, how do you expect it to sound right on the day you have to play? But the more you practice, the more you fine-tune the piece. And on that day when you need to present it, it comes out so beautiful. And that's the same thing with God. When we don't read His Word, how are we going to live the way He wants us to live? So that means that we have to stay in constant attachment to Him. We become so close to Him that when we breathe out, we breathe in. As God breathes out and breathes in, so we breathe out and breathe in, because He is the very air we breathe. If God would ever say, cut off the air, within seconds, mere seconds, we would all not be here. So God is the air that we breathe. God's Word is our map. God's footsteps are our guide. God's provision are what keeps us here. God's healing is what helps us make through a long night. So God's compassion picks us up when everybody else has turned their back. God loves puts all that together and holds it together for us. God number one, period. There is no two or three. God number one, period.
Amen. Wow. Well, Internet, you're getting a chance to hear what other folk have been hearing for a while. You're getting a chance to hear. You're on the air with Mother Parrish. She is a mother at St. Paul's Missionary Baptist Church. This is her segment, Mom's Corner. Tell your friends. She came up here about a month ago now, and she just peached her little heart out. And then she looked, and then she made the mistake that we all make. She watched herself later on and got a little discouraged, didn't you?
Well, yeah, I don't know what I expected, but it was okay.
Got a little discouraged.
Yeah.
And hopefully God took care of that. And I don't know if I said anything that was helpful.
You did.
But hopefully God said, no, you ain't going out like that.
Right. But that's what the enemy will do to you. When you do something good for God, if you're not very careful, he will see how many ways and how fast can he destroy it.
Peach, sister.
So that means that and I learned a lesson that I always preach. Stop looking at yourself and look at God.
Oh,
God gave me a wonderful privilege. And I met so many wonderful people. And God was able
And most of them want you to come back and take over the church. At least they say they want that.
That will never happen. God has who God has, where he has each one of us. Yeah. And that was never my calling, never to be a preacher. Like I say, I'm just a woman in love with God. And when you love somebody, every time you look around, you're trying to talk about them. You're trying to tell their good points. And you know what's so easy? God has no bad points. All of the points of God are good. Every commandment, every statute, every word, every promise is always good. And that's what we need to realize, that our God is a good God. From A to Z, from Z to A, anywhere in between, he is still good. So we need to always wake up with a praise, a worship, and a celebration on our lips, our hearts, and our mind to a good God who loved us so much in spite of all the stupidity we did yesterday. He woke us back up today. He said that he is the one who gives life, and he sustains life. He's a life giver. If you would begin to poll people, go into the mall and say, what is God to you? Every one of them would give you a different answer.
Absolutely.
Because God is just that universe, but just that one. I can be to you, Daniel, Pastor Dan, what you need. I can be to you, Mother Parrish, what you need. I can be to people what they need, because I have that wisdom of you, because I created you. So since I am the architect of this building, I know what it will take to build it, because I drew the blueprints. I know what needs to be poured into you, because I'm the pourer, I'm the life sustainer, and I know what I will get out of it. It's all I want is praise and worship for me, not for you, because you didn't do any of this, but for me. And when we do that, God says, here's another blessing. Oh, okay, well, here's another blessing. And some of the greatest blessings is you opened your eyes. You were able to move. Your family was fine. There was food in your house. You had clothes. You were able to function. And that's all of God's blessings. Plus other ones that he gives you, helps pay your bill, keeps you with a job, keeps you able to bless someone else. Because all the blessings he sent to you are not for you to store away and hide, but for you to bless someone else. And the more you empty that cup of blessing, the more God will pour in, running over, pressed down for good measure.
You know, the songwriter said, we plowed the fields and planted and watered the good seed on the land, but it is fed and watered by God's almighty hand.
Amen.
All
that
good
is
gifts
so true.
around
And we are
us.
that field.
Exactly.
And we look around and we can't help but give him the praise, because the situations you thought was going to be horrible are not horrible. In fact, when you look around, if you begin to work for God, Lord, what do you want me to do for you today? How can I bring glory to your name? How can I uplift you this day? And as you do that, you let go of what you thought was your problem. And God said, now I can handle it.
Exactly.
You know, if you put sand in your hand and close it up, it will eventually sip out through the cracks.
It'll all
And you
run
open
away.
your hand and have nothing. But if you put your sand in your hand and blow it out, it covers so much more, and it will look like it will never end.
Absolutely.
And that's what God does us. When we begin to work for him in whatever capacity, then he can begin to bless us in every capacity.
Amen. So I thank you for those words of encouragement. I'm sure they definitely helped me, and I'm sure they helped many other people, because I know I'm not alone in this current malaise. And you know, it's I don't want to say I'm over it. I'm going to be dealing with it for a while, but that's just part of life. And still, you go on and you do what you have to do, and then we always have to be mindful that these are all cautionary tales. We will always have to be careful that we're not the one next week. We
Right.
always have to keep ourselves in check. I said that
Right.
last hour, we're all just one phone call. We're just one ill statement. We're just one irrational act. One
Right.
lashing out in anger from completely destroying the plan God has set up for us.
Right.
Every one of us.
And you know what is the sad part about that is words don't go away. Prayerfully over time, the pain lessens, and you don't speak about it with such vigor as you did at the beginning. The words don't go away, especially mean words added at a person from another person, and even more so if they're from a person who you thought loved you. So now you're asking, how could you say this to me? And 10 years later, you may tell someone, you know, I love that person, but they said to me. So we have to be careful when we open our mouths. What are we giving out? We ask God to give us out love. Please forgive us when we've made our mistakes and done stupid at 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock.
Amen.
Yet someone does something, says something one time, and we go over the deep end. I'm never going to forgive them for that.
Right. How dare, don't they know that, don't they understand who I am and what they have done to me? Well, I got news
Right.
for you. I got a question for you. What do you do to God? When you
Right.
take an attitude like that, what are you saying about your God? If you don't forgive, the Bible is very clear. The Word of God is,
Yeah.
if you don't forgive, how can your Father forgive you?
That's right.
I mean, really, it's like, hello, don't you realize that you are them?
Right.
You know, you
Because we're Sunday morning shouting Hosanna, Hosanna by Friday because we thought the money we needed was going to come in. We're saying crucify him.
yeah, exactly
Because
right.
he didn't answer our request and make it plain and make it known so I could brag to you.
Right.
Not bless God, but brag to you. My God.
Yeah, exactly.
My God.
Yeah.
Hallelujah.
Yeah.
he you know, I asked for 50, but the Lord sent me 100. My God.
And I put 5.
I never forget when you mentioned that we have a show down here, the lottery,
Yes.
and people can come on and pull whatever,
Yep.
and they win money. Well,
Yep.
this lady was coming back because she had won $100,000.
Whoa.
I never forget. And she said the first thing I did when I got my $100,000, I paid my tithes. I gave my church $1,000,
Oh.
and the audience went berserk. Yay!
Oh, good.
And I'm like, that ain't your tithe.
That's not your time. It's exactly.
That ain't your tithe. What are you bragging about? You made an offering. You made a donation.
Yeah. That wasn't your time.
That wasn't your tithe.
Yeah. And the truth be told, see, this is what people don't want to hear. If they want to give New Testament tithe, she gave the whole thing to the church. That's
Right.
That's New Testament. Now, if she wanted to try to follow the law, okay, fine, give 10%. 1,000 is not 10% of 100,000.
Yeah.
That
No.
would be 10,000.
That would be 10,000.
Hello?
But I looked at the
Off
people
the
in the
top.
audience. Yay! Yay! What?
Yeah.
Did you even hear what she said?
Well, see, that's her. And see, this is what the people don't understand. This is Ananias and Sapphira all over again.
All over again.
Okay? The disciple said, look, it was your field. You could have
Yeah,
done.
that was Peter.
Yeah. You could have done what you wanted to do. You didn't have.
Right.
You didn't have to. What
But you didn't lie to me. You lied to the Holy Ghost. You lied to God.
You lied to God. And because you lied to God, these people are going to carry you out of here. And boom, right then. And
the husband first, 3 hours later, the wife.
The wife comes in and she said, and they asked her the questions. They gave her a space to you know, this has been going on forever. Parents have been giving kids a chance to come clean from time immemorial. When you children, let me tell you right now, when your parent asked you how was school today, that's your cue to come clean, because they already know how school was. They already know what you should be telling them. But if you don't, that's your chance right there. How was school today? Oh, well, yeah, it was fine. We did this, that. Oh, yeah, well, what about so-and-so and such and such? So the parents, so that what they say, the same people that carried your husband out will carry you out.
That's right. You know, your baby sister, I never forget, she had cut school. She didn't know the school had a permission to call me. So they called and told me. So I got home around 4:30 when I should have been getting off. And I looked at her and I said, how was your day today? And she looked at her friend Danielle. She said, no use lying. She know we didn't go. She don't ask that question.
There you go.
She asks it, she already knows the answer.
There you go.
She said, I didn't go today. I said, okay. And that's where it is, you know.
Yeah.
No use giving God excuses, because he already knows.
Wow. Was this
He
Leah?
knows when you are doing what he's asked you to do, commissioned you to do, told you he needed you to do.
Right.
Are you doing what you want to do and calling it in the name of the Lord?
Well, you know yourself that I was personally guilty of that for many years. You know that. How many times did we have a discussion about that? Dan, you're not working for God. Dan, you're not doing this in the name of the Lord. Dan, what are you doing, and who are you doing it for? And well, Mom, I'm serving the kingdom. No, Dan, you're not.
Right.
So, yeah, we're all guilty of that. You know? Which sister was it? Was it Leah?
Baby girl.
It was baby. Okay, hi, Leah. Leah, you still, if you're listening to this, eat a rock.
Yeah.
So,
but, you know, when we look at God, even then, he doesn't toss us aside.
no, of course not.
Even then, he says, I love you. I forgive you. All you need to do is ask. And I forgive you. And yet, we are such people caught up in ourselves that when somebody else does us wrong, we nail them on the cross upside down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
We would not be here if God would have nailed us for any one of the things we did wrong.
Oh, boy.
So
how many of us, I don't even know if I'd be on the air if God had, if a state trooper got behind you from the time you left your house to the time you got where you were going, would you in fact have made it?
9 out of 10 times when I was driving,
No, we know that.
Especially if I didn't know.
If you didn't know he was there, because Mommy has a bit of a heavy foot.
No, I just believe where you got to go. Let's go.
Let's go. Exactly. You know.
I'll give you a classic example. Becky and I was coming out of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and we had gotten behind the truck. And Becky said, okay, I can't handle behind this truck. I'm going to go around it. I said, okay. So there was a black car following us. Truck, Becky, car.
Okay.
So we pulled around. We had seen the highway trooper sitting in the car as usual.
Right.
So everybody had kind of slowed down. So we pulled around, got back in our proper lane. Well, this black car, not paying attention, pulled around beside the truck and us. And when he did, he hit speed, and the and the highway patrol was right behind him
There you go.
and pulled him right over.
There you go. So
But when Becky pulled around, she went back to the normal speed. And she
exactly.
didn't pull around maybe 2 miles of that over to get around the truck.
Right.
Because he wasn't traveling fast.
Right.
And she got back in her lane, got back in her speed. Neither one of us realizing the trooper had pulled out, had not put his siren on, but was following us. Because we was all doing a couple miles over.
Of course we were.
And, yeah. And this car pulled around and shot around us and shot in front of us, and the highway patrol shot. And see, that's a lesson in that. Be careful about running ahead of what God has told you to do.
Amen. So
We think, okay, God say, build a one-room house. No, I'm going to build me a 10-room house on this land. 5 years from there, they let you know that actually was sinking sand that you build on.
right.
And now
Exactly.
you've lost, but that ain't what God told you. He knew a one-room house would stand on that land.
Right.
But no, by you building a 10-room house, you are now sinking.
Well,
So we have to be careful of running ahead and thinking we doing God a favor. When we run ahead and we tell someone, oh, God said that you should say this, or you should say that, or you should have done this.
Let's not get into that. Let's start a whole other conversation. All right. So,
Alrighty.
ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, you have been listening to Mother Ann Parrish with her section, Mom's Corner. Any final words? Any final things you wish to say, Mom, before we say bid you adieu, as they would say?
Well, what I would say is make sure you are following what God has told you to do. Walk in His statutes and in His commandments, and there will be a blessing in your life every moment of the day.
Amen. You've been
Amen.
listening to Mother Ann Parrish. She is a mother of St. Paul Missionaries Baptist Church in Akron, Ohio, where the pastor is Clifford Norwood, Reverend Clifford
Right.
Norwood. I got it all right. I'm getting better at this thing.
Yes.
Thank you, and tune in next week. Goodbye.
Alrighty.
Goodbye, Mom.
I love you, baby. Goodbye.
Love you
and
too.
goodbye to everyone else. Love you all. Be blessed.
Amen.
Amen.
So there we have it. It's always good to take time out to listen to the Word of God, no matter who brings it. So getting back to our topic, getting back to our political topic, we were talking about what's going on now with the confirmation hearings of Judge Kavanaugh. Now, I don't know what is going to happen today or tomorrow, and I don't think anybody does, but I'm determined not to listen to the news until today or tomorrow, after the deadline, because it's just going to be the same stuff dribbled out every 5 seconds, and it's all designed to get you excited, to raise your expectations, and to channel your expectations as to what's going to happen. And when it comes out, it may come out that there really isn't anything that's going to happen, but you're so ready. You see, if this is the thing I don't understand, and I confess that you can help me with this if you can. If you were severely wronged by this person and you want justice to happen. We've just had a case where somebody had done something to somebody else. We know that William H. Cosby Jr. drugged and sexually assaulted a woman, and apparently many women, and all of those women came out, and all of those women said what happened, when it happened, where it happened, the situation before it, during, and after it. And they were all very vocal. Once it came out with one person, the whole thing fell apart. And now you have a situation where they all just told their story to whoever would listen. They didn't have any surrounding desires. They just said, I want you to hear me. And now we have a person that says, this happened to me by Justice Kavanaugh. He did it. Well, where did he do it? Well, I don't want to talk about that. I haven't said where he done it. Well, when did it happen? I haven't said when it happened. Well, do you want to come to the hearing and tell us what happened? Well, I don't want to come to the hearing. I want it to be held at this location here. Well, do you want to say, well, I don't want to be questioned. I don't want him in the room. I don't want this. I don't want that. I have all these rules and all these things I want to have happen before I would testify to the wrong that was done to me. What kind of sense does that make? Does that sound like anybody who is serious about having justice happen? Or does that sound like somebody who has a political bend, or something that some point of view that they're trying to get across that may not be exactly what the problem is? See, we're going to know pretty quickly whether this is all smoke and mirrors. We're going to know pretty quickly if this was all contrived just to derail the appointment of Justice Kavanaugh to the Supreme Court. We're going to know if this was another Borking, shall we say. See, they tried it with Justice Clarence Thomas and it didn't work. And after he was appointed, all of the controversy ceased. It would seem to me that if Anita Hill was clear and wanted justice and wanted her story to be told after he was appointed, she could have still gone before the Senate and tried to get him impeached and get him removed from the Supreme Court. There are ways to have justices removed. And it would seem to me that even before that, after he had done this terrible thing to her, after Justice Thomas had done this terrible thing to Anita Hill, she would not have had anything more to do with him. She would have left his company, left his presence, never done anything with him, and at the earliest opportunity, she'd have torpedoed his career because she would have felt wronged and wanted something to happen. But did she do that? No. After this egregious thing had happened that he had done to her, she followed him to the next job. And everybody says, well, why did she do that? I don't know why she did it. And to this day, she's never addressed that. So yes, he offended you so mightily offended you with whatever it was, a pubic hair and a Coke can or whatever the nonsense was that happened. You still followed him to his next position. And you still worked underneath him and worked around him. You still stayed around him. So I don't get that part. I don't understand why that didn't happen. But now we have the same thing happening with Justice Kavanaugh. We have a situation where somebody has accused him of doing something wrong, but that accuser will not say what and has all these requirements for how they'll testify, where they'll testify, who has to be in the room, who will question them, who won't question them. Initially, she didn't even want to go first. Well, that had to go away because let's face it, what's Justice Kavanaugh going to testify to if he doesn't know the charges? I don't know the charges. Do you know the charges? Has there been any? Well, there can't be any official formal charges filed because the statute of limitations is run. But do we know the simple things for any crime? Who, what, where, when? And sometimes you can throw why in there, but why is not a requirement for a conviction. Who, what, where, when, and how. And even how isn't required for a conviction. But who, what, where are definitely required. And do we know who, what, where, and when? We know who, and we know what. But we don't know where and when. And so far that hasn't come out. And we're still dealing with he said, she said. And like I said earlier, if I tell 6 people what happened to me, and I don't tell anybody else, and then when it comes out, 6 people can come and say, yes, Pastor Dan told me that this happened, but those are 6 people saying what I said. Where is the individual corroboration? Where is somebody saying, I was in the room, I saw this? Or I saw those 2 go in the room. It doesn't have to be in the room. I saw Justice Kavanaugh at a party. I saw the woman I saw her at a party. They were in a room together. Then that at least puts proximity, that at least gives you some clue that something might have happened. But right now, we don't know anything. All we know is that both sides are getting monumental press behind this. And in the midst of all this press, a family is being destroyed. A family whose husband, who apparently has now admitted to being a virgin during that whole time that he was in high school. A person who has admitted to, whose history has been one of self-sacrifice and service, is being destroyed. And what'll happen on tomorrow? What'll happen on Friday? Will there be an asterisk by his name if he is confirmed? The Senate has declared that there will be a hearing. He will have a vote. No matter what happens in all these hearings, Justice Kavanaugh is going to have an up or down vote as to whether he'll become the next Supreme Court justice. But in the meantime, all of this stuff has come out. And what truly do we know? That's my question. What do you know? Do you know who? Do you know where? Do you know when? Do you know how? Do you know why? Do you know anything? What do you know? I saw yesterday that they were going through the yearbooks of the prep schools. And what did they discover? Surprise, surprise. They discovered that 17-year-old Caucasian males drink and act stupid. And 17-year-old Caucasian females put themselves in the company of 17-year-old drinking and stupid males. Because they're both from prep schools. And you know who was not going to the prep school back in that time. You know who was not in any of those prep schools. So you know this already. I don't even have to say it. But Justice Kavanaugh was a 17-year-old boy and he was drinking and being stupid. We know this because that's what 17-year-old boys do. They drink and they be stupid. And all of this now, it all seems suspect. Just before the hearing was supposed to happen, just before the vote was supposed to happen, after all of that testimony, after all of the opportunity to question Justice Kavanaugh under oath. You see, here's the thing. Here's something that you probably didn't know. If a hearing is going on and you send information to the one who's leading the hearing, that is a sworn statement. You could be held liable for perjury if you give that person a statement and that statement turns out to be false. But that's not what happened in this case. Dianne Feinstein was not given the letter of what had happened directly from the accuser. The accuser gave it to somebody else who passed it to Senator Feinstein. So that separation, see, this is a little quirk in the law that most people don't know about. That 1 degree of separation means that the letter that was given, if it's proved out to be false, is not libelous. It's not perjury. But if the accuser had given the letter directly to Senator Feinstein, it would be considered evidence, and that would be considered a point of perjury if it's proved out to be false. So all these little tricks, all these little subtle manipulations are going on. The whole timing of this thing stinks. The whole timing of this thing is wrong, and nobody's talking about it, or everybody's talking about it. And everybody's been given a pass. Well, Justice Kavanaugh is guilty because he's a man and men do these things. She's guilty because she's a liar and liars lie. You know, liars can really affect a person's life. If you study your history, you'll discover that Emmett Till was dead and killed behind a lie. Because the woman who had said that he had touched her or that he had approached her, that he had talked to her, that he had did what he had done that caused those men to drag him out of his house in the middle of the night and kill him, that woman on her deathbed repented and said she lied. She lived her whole life with the fact that her lies had gotten a young black man killed. And on her deathbed, she repents and says, "I'm sorry, I lied. Please forgive me." So never underestimate the power of a lie and how it can destroy somebody. We don't know what happened with Justice Kavanaugh. I don't know that we'll ever know for real what the truth is. Whether he gets confirmed or doesn't get confirmed, I don't think we'll ever know. But we need to be asking the questions, why in a political process, how has this political process gotten so corrupted so that at any point in time, somebody can come in and make an allegation at the last minute because they don't want somebody else to get to a position or an office they don't think they belong in. And then we still haven't discovered the real enemy behind it. Do you know that it is said that one of the reasons this is all happening is that Justice Kavanaugh will try to change the laws on abortion? But here's something they haven't told you. There is no abortion bill before the Supreme Court right now. Roe versus Wade had been settled years ago. There is no law, there is no bill pending, there is no court case pending that would challenge that, would affect that in any way. There's nothing before the court. So why is this an issue unless they suspect that Justice Kavanaugh is going to try and overturn Roe versus Wade? The problem with that there is no bill before, there is no court case before the Supreme Court that would even indicate that. So who is really after Justice Kavanaugh and why? And the other part of this thing that nobody wants to talk about is you still don't know what he's going to do. He is a constitutional originalist, which means that he believes that the law of the land, as written by the Constitution, is not supposed to be changed by laws that people, because they don't like a particular thing. You're not supposed to govern by fiat. The law, the original, what's called original intent. That means what the writers put forth when they wrote the Constitution is what he believes the law should be. And should not be changed by somebody's will or somebody's doctrine at any given point in time. And people are afraid of that, or some people are afraid of that, because they say original intent people mean that we're going to go back to back alley abortions. We're going to go back to slavery, that black people will lose all their rights, that immigrants will lose all their rights. People who claim to be who say people who believe in original intent are bad think that all of a sudden the clock is going to be turned back 50 years. I got news for you people. That genie is out of the bottle. It's not going back. We're not going 50 years back into the future, back into the past. You know, if President Trump manages to build the wall, it doesn't mean that the United States is going to immediately become a second world country, a third world nation. We're not going to be Russia. We're not going to be East and West Berlin with the wall. That's not the intent. It never was the intent. But that's what you've been led to believe, that the wall is designed to keep all immigrants out. That's not the intent. The wall was designed to keep illegal immigrants out, people who don't have any right to be here, who are taking jobs from people who are here legitimately trying to work. People who have gone through the process of immigrating into this country legally, a very long and lengthy and costly process, as opposed to people who just slip across the border, start working, start taking jobs, and in fact killing people. Because we just had a situation, just found out yesterday, that another illegal immigrant has murdered somebody. And he had no business being here. He was deported many times. A judge had him in the custody and released him on $20,000 bail. And he went out, and now we have a person who has been allegedly killed by him. So admittedly, there's a reason for us to be concerned about illegal immigration, not immigration. But most people don't make that determination. Most people say immigration and legal immigration is no such thing. The current administration says illegal immigrant. the past administration never would use the word illegal immigrant. And even on Facebook today, you could get banned if you had a post that had those terms, illegal immigrant. You can get banned. They can just block your post because they call it hate speech. I'm looking at the clock right now. I've got 2 minutes left. I want to thank Pastor Bruce Wall. I want to thank the leaders and the organ of Boston Praise Radio, WBP, GLP, 1029 FM, for giving me this opportunity for this extended version of Sound Travels. Tune in next week at 8 o'clock when we'll be back. I am Pastor Dan Walker. I am privileged to pastor the New Bethel Baptist Church of Framingham, Mass. Sunday morning service at 11 o'clock. Look us up. We stream live on Facebook every Sunday at Danver39 YouTube. Thank you and be a blessing.